Good afternoon. This is Brian Christian Jenkins coming to you all out of Gran Canaria, Spain. And do you know what today is? Today is a lot of things, but more importantly for me and my wife, today marks the 1 week mark that we are heading to the United States. Yay! It's been almost a year and a half since we've been back since our wedding last June, and so we're super excited about heading to the States. It will be a quick trip, just 10 days. We fly into Michigan for my cousin's baby shower. My baby cousin, she's not a baby anymore. Drive down straight without sleeping, stop to see family in Georgia, and continue on down to Florida, see some friends, go to Halloween Horror Nights, which I'm really looking forward to taking my wife there because she loves terror and horror. And then down to Miami where my brothers are, and then we head back on to Spain. So, Jordan, how you doing, my man out of Australia? Glad to have you here. I cannot see that other bubble there, but that's okay. So guys, I just want to get into responsibility, right? I want to get into talking about how it is that we let people walk all over us. Why do we do it? Or should we do it? Or I guess the better question is, are they even doing it? So this all stems from a couple of things, a couple of observations, a couple of internal battles, and actually having these conversations with other people in a variety of areas. And what I've come to kind of recognize every single time that oftentimes when we're looking for a solution to a problem, a feeling, right? We feel frustrated, we feel stuck, we feel a pain in something. Oftentimes, where does this finger go? This finger doesn't go this way, it goes this way, right? Because it's easy to see and feel what is causing us this kind of frustration. Julie, what's going on at Tenerife? And when we do that, it's easy to say, for example, it's my boss who's giving me more work, making me work more hours. They're not very nice to me. They're not encouraging, right? They're not motivating. And so it's my boss's fault that I don't like my job, right? Or you say, I'm frustrated in my relationship. It's my partner's fault because they don't communicate with me. They don't clean the bathroom. They don't put down the toilet seats. They don't do the dishes. It's my partner's fault that I come home and I'm frustrated, right? Or I'll give you a very personal example. A very personal example that I will only touch on because I don't know if I want to share this story, not for any other reason, but the fact that I don't want to necessarily put that energy out there. But our wedding that we had here, we're actually on the brink of within 3 weeks of actually finalizing a lawsuit with the place that we had our wedding at for some reason that we felt it was necessary to take them to court to get our money back, and also to make things right, that we failed to make things right. So what is it? We had a beautiful wedding. It was, all the details were exactly what we wanted in the wedding. I mean, the whole wedding was us, right? No detail was overlooked. It was simple, but it was simply us. Now, something happened at this wedding, something really disgusting, but nonetheless is in that, what are me and my wife thinking about while we're focusing on the wedding, while we're thinking about the wedding? This incident comes back. And every time we feel bad about that incident, what do we do? Where's this finger go? It's, these people should have done this. They should have prevented that. They could have done better. And while we're doing this, although yes, they do have a shitload of responsibility in how things played out, every time we focus on here, we feel as if we can only feel better until they do something. So where does that leave me? Until they give us what we feel, what we want to feel better, we always feel as if we're uncomfortable. And the same thing goes to your boss. Your boss may be a dickhead. Your boss may be a jerk. Your boss may be a lot of things. But as long as you focus on what your boss has to do to change your situation, you are effectively making yourself feel stuck, right? So there's a lot of options you can do. And it's regardless of what the situation is. Sometimes we need to make a decision that may not be comfortable in the short term, but the long term is what we need to do. So the job situation. You may think, well, I don't have a job yet. I have kids to feed. I have other responsibilities. I have bills to pay. So I need to take this job. I need to hold on to this job. I need to do this because if not, then I can't pay the bills, I can't feed the kids. But while you are saying you need to do this for a reason, a very good reason, because we do like responsible people, we do need to take care of our kids, right? You are also at the same time accepting this state of being uncomfortable and feeling like you're suffering at the workplace for 7, 8, 9, 10 or more hours every single day. What are your energy levels like when you're in that environment? They're not good. You don't feel motivated. You don't feel inspired. Most of us, if we leave that environment when we feel completely burnt out at work, we don't go home skipping to our wife and kids or our husband, partner, whatever it may be. We don't do that. We go home, we're completely drained, right? We're uninspired. And we sit in the TV, we sit, watch TV, we sit, we may drink something, or we just kind of numb ourselves. We don't actually use that energy for anything productive. Now, going back to the situation of the relationship, the same thing is true. As long as I am focused on what my partner is not giving me, right? It may be true that I do have needs, emotional needs or any other kind of physical needs, but as long as I focus on what it is I'm not getting from my partner, I'm really not focused on what it is that I want or what I am getting from my partner. So I'm gonna give you some real life examples. Bam, so we talked about the wedding, we touched on that. And now this is something that we are actually right now processing. Because on the surface, on paper, I understand the power in not giving this organization control over our emotions over our beautiful wedding day. The fact of the matter is, it was special. A lot of people talk very highly about the wedding, how beautiful it was, and how personal, how they can feel the energy and the love. And that was the goal. Goal accomplished, right? However, in the process of wanting to push this lawsuit forward to get what we feel would make us whole, at the end of the day, if we win, will that essentially make us feel whole? Because if we win, okay, the money will get back to us, we'll get that back. But if we're still focusing on that part of it, the horrible part of it, actually the horrible part was actually quite small compared to everything else that was done, right? As long as we focus on that, we'll always feel empty. We won't feel complete about that beautiful wedding day where we expressed our love to each other in front of many friends and family. So we get the opportunity to process that and let that go, to move forward, to enjoy that part of our life and actually and remember that differently. Now, I was talking to a young man just this morning, and I love this guy, and I'm so happy that we're able to have these conversations, but he was expressing some of his frustrations around his relationship, like we all have those. And I'm going to share a story about something that happened with me and my wife a couple days ago. But he was asking, so she's doing this, she's doing that, and I think I'm just ready to throw in the towel, and I'm frustrated. I need my own time, right? And I said, great. If you feel you need your own time, and that's really what it comes down to, then do what you have to do to give your own time. If that means ending the relationship because you need your time to grow, to figure things out, then do that. Don't drag her along while you're trying to figure it out. You can do both things. You can focus internally and also respect your partner. Give that person your time, your energy, your love, and your patience while you focus on yourself. What you can't do, actually, what he is doing a little bit, and what we all do, is you cannot focus on yourself and then kind of keep this person on the back burner, giving them half of you, giving half of your attention, half of your love, half of your whatever, while they're sitting there waiting to get the whole of you. And then when this person reacts in a way that is, for example, they don't feel comfortable, they don't feel the safety, they don't feel the security in you because you're figuring it out. When this person decides to figure it out as well and there's separation, you can't go back to that person and say, hey, why are you acting different? Well, yeah, she's acting different because you've made some decisions for yourself, which is cool. Take care of yourself, but make a final decision for yourself. She's not walking all over you. She's not trying to make your life more complicated. She simply wants to feel loved. She wants to feel secure. She wants to feel safe, and your actions are not making her feel that way. So if you want that your partner is more connected to you, you want that intimacy to come back into your relationship, what is it that you can do? Because as long as you're focusing at her, looking at her that she needs to, why doesn't she just do that? You are now stuck in the trap of waiting for this before I can be. You'll get nowhere. And I know because I am still the king, all right? I was actually on a higher mic. The throne was bigger back in the day of waiting for everyone else to change something about them. Why doesn't the job market change? Why are the people here in the Canary Islands more open, more innovative, more creative, whatever it may be, whatever I thought, whatever I told myself of why it is I didn't have what I wanted to have, I was keeping myself in a bit of a bubble, right? I kept myself in a state of suffering in some kind of ways. I kept myself from not taking a chance or a risk or putting the energy into something that I wanted because this isn't the United States. The market's too small here. The people aren't as collaborative. There's less opportunity. I don't speak Spanish as fluently. I focus on everything that I didn't have. And I put no energy into what I did have and how I could make things differently. So that's number one with number two. First, we talked about the wedding. And then we talked about this young man who is figuring things out with his relationship. Now, the third example is, again, talking about the job situation, to actually drill down into that a bit more. If you find yourself in a situation where you are not happy there, make a move. Your boss is not your enemy. Your boss is not the one keeping you where you are. You have choices. Even though you feel like you don't have choices, you have a choice to leave that situation and take a risk on yourself. If that means that you need to leave that position and then now you need to find work, focus on the work. Don't leave out of spite and then sit there jobless and then complain about you don't have a job. No, you wanted this. Do it, take that decision, make that decision. But as long as we create an enemy, as long as we create and put the attention on somebody else or another factor, right? That's something that's beyond us. We don't focus on what it is that we need and what it is that we can do. And we stay stuck. Next example, final example. And this is true that today's Friday, so this must have been Tuesday. Yes, it was Tuesday. My wife went to a specialist to look about the status of her health and the cyst that we talked about, the cyst that she has in her uterus and how it is that we're working through that, right? So long story short, my wife isn't necessarily as communicative as I would like her to be, right? And this is not just in general. This comes to, for example, in regards to just her health. I want to know what's going on with her body. I want to know how I can support her. How can I be the best husband partner to support her in this? What can I do in this? And so when she came back, she was very, we'll say for lack of better words, very thin with the details. Very, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what they recommended, and that's it. And I want to know, well, why? Did you tell them this? Did you mention that? And in this interaction, I felt myself getting frustrated. And although my tone was still very level, I'm sure my face was screaming a different story. Like, she can see the frustration. She can see me kind of hold back my frustration. Like, the veins are popping out of my forehead, and she can sense this. So as we start developing the conversation, I'm asking more questions. The questions are a bit more dry, a bit more direct, because I want to know. Now, there's two things into that. One, why was I getting frustrated? I was getting frustrated because I felt helpless. I felt that I could not help my wife in a more effective way, in a more efficient way, in a better way. I felt I couldn't support her. And that made me feel insecure. And that's where that frustration came from. But what I forgot was, in that frustration, I started turning that against her. Not in a malicious way, not in a horrible way. We didn't get to the point where we were screaming and yelling and throwing things. Or we never thrown things. We may have screamed and yelled, but we never threw things. And in that, I started to create to her, like, this is why we don't have that relationship, because you don't talk. This is what I'm thinking to myself. Because you don't talk, you don't communicate, you don't share that with me, you don't give me the opportunity. You. What did I do? In a very subtle kind of way, actually this is probably very obvious for her looking at me, my facial expression, in a very innocent kind of way, I made my wife the enemy. I made her the villain of why it is we don't have the relationship that I think that we want. And I totally forgot, what is it that I can do? What does my wife need? What is she going through? I can't imagine what she's going through. I can't imagine being uncomfortable in your own body, wanting to figure this whole thing out. I don't know what that's like. I can empathize, but I don't really know what that's like. And even though she understands that she wants to figure this out, if I'm speaking to her in a tone that doesn't come across in a loving way, in a supportive way, or any kind of way that's not going to make her feel secure, she's going to receive that as, maybe I'm doing something wrong. You see what happened? Although my frustration was rooted in wanting to do the right thing, wanting to support her, my reaction and how I delivered that to her didn't convey love and support. It conveyed frustration and lack of security in the relationship. And so she then started to respond in a way that I didn't really appreciate. And so the cycle continues. Now, what if I just stopped for a moment and I looked inwards? What if I stopped for a moment and said, Brian, what can I do to better support her? Why am I frustrated? Is there a need to wanting to know everything? Yes. Is that need somewhat linked to control, wanting to be able to control the situation? Yes. Even though that control is wanting to be the best husband I can, there's still control in wanting to understand that situation and not go with the flow. There's also a need in there to feel like I can fix everything. I don't want to see my wife uncomfortable, so I want to make it to go away as fast as possible. But at the same time, I'm ignoring what she may need to go through. It's her process. So as long as I focus on her and what she should be doing, I do not touch in at all with myself to see what it is I can do to be a better person. So I'm going to leave it at that and leave that with you. Where in your life, in your day to day, all right, where is it that you feel a little bit of pain, uncomfortableness, frustration, annoyance, whatever it is? Where do you feel that? And where can you take responsibility for that? And understand, by taking responsibility for that, that does not dissolve the responsibility of the other person. It just means we recognize it, leave that with that person, trust that in one way or another, this person, this entity, this whatever is going to have to, not going to have to do anything. They will get the opportunity, like we have the opportunity, to reflect on that and make that better. If they don't, that's not our problem. That has nothing to do with us. The only thing that we can do is seize that opportunity, like I got the opportunity 3 nights ago, to learn how to better connect, better support, and better love my wife in these challenging situations, right? Now, the old Brian would have still focused on her. Well, we're like this because of you. And I would not have adapted. I would have tried to look at the situation differently, because it's easier to say that person has to change. You should do something different. And this even goes to those very, 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 very difficult situations. I'm talking about the ones that can be quite violent. I'm talking about the ones that can really cause you a lot of pain. And although your process may be a bit more challenging, and it may not be as easy, that does not mean that you do not have the opportunity or the responsibility for yourself and those around you to do the right thing for what you know is the right thing. Settling in that situation, in that state, is only keeping ourselves in a cycle, keeping ourselves in a reality that everything is shite, that nothing is going to get any better. If that's what we see, that's what we get. Until we see that, okay, there's frustration coming from this area, this energy, this entity. What can I do to change it? Until I see what we can do to change and how I can process that differently, we'll never go forward. So on that note, I'm getting out of here. It's getting hot. The sun is rising here in Gran Canaria. I'm gonna go shirtless again. I've been told that I'm going shirtless too much, so I'm trying to keep this rated G for the kids out there. And yeah, just gonna leave it on there to remember always to dream it, live it, and be it in any way possible. Stop creating those enemies outside. Stop looking for the problem outside. Turn them fingers inside and see what you can do. Love you guys lots. Have a beautiful day.